timeline doesn't add up. According to the images, her son appears to age 3 years in just 10 months. The mystery deepened even further when Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna let something slip.
At the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. She lost her kids. She lost her kids. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her.
Wait, lost her kids? The woman credibly accused of child trafficking just lost her kids after the deeply suspicious death of their father? That wasn't a metaphor. The implications are far darker than anybody has admitted. Because nothing is as it seems when it comes to Erika Kirk's family, from the Rothschild family history, to the gangsters on both sides of a family tree, to both parents and their very shady backstories. Her mum was born as Loretta Ann Abbas, but she has multiple identities confirmed in public records. Laurie A. Francevy, Laurie W. Francevy, Laurie A. Stransvy, Laurie A. Wallstad, Laurie Ann Gwinter, Laurie Ann Franzu, Laurie A. Franzi, Laurie W. Franzi, Laurie Franzu. That's up to 11 variations so far.
That single line quietly changed everything. This was supposed to be a story about a woman who lost her husband. A story about grief, about sympathy, about survival. But somewhere along the way, the story shifted. Because Erika Kirk didn't just lose her husband. She lost her children too. And here's the detail almost no one talks about. The children are not Chalie's, despite what many people assumed. So how did a narrative built on loss turn into a case involving child removal? And why did that part of the story only surface after a leaked operation? And internal records brought it into the open? According to publicly available information, what the public believed may not have been wrong, just incomplete. And in cases like this, incompleteness matters. If you care about stories where image and reality don't perfectly align, subscribe. If you believe silence can be just as revealing as words, subscribe. If you think evidence should come before emotion, subscribe. And if you're not ready to subscribe yet, say why in the comments. Because once you understand what changed behind closed doors, this story can't be seen the same way again. A grieving wife. Composed. Controlled. A woman navigating loss in front of an audience that largely chose sympathy over scrutiny. Her appearances, her words, even her silence, all reinforced a single narrative, that this was a private tragedy unfolding in public view. At the same time, attention quietly shifted toward Chalie. Online, speculation filled the gaps left by limited information. Many assumed a parental connection. Others treated him as part of the family structure, without ever questioning the basis for that belief. But here's where perception begins to drift from record. Certain details were shared repeatedly, while others were never addressed at all. Questions about the children's situation remained unanswered. Clarifications were never offered. And assumptions, once formed, were allowed to stand. There are no accusations here, only gaps. Gaps between what was presented and what was omitted. Between what the public thought it understood and what was never actually confirmed. And those gaps, quiet at first, would later become impossible to ignore. Not with a press conference, not with a public statement, but with a development that surfaced only after it had already taken effect. According to publicly available records, an official intervention took place, tied to a leaked operation and formal filings that were never explained in detail to the public. In similar cases, experts note that child removal is usually preceded by visible steps. Warnings, evaluations, court hearings, documented concerns. Here, those steps weren't publicly visible. What stood out wasn't just what happened, but how quickly it happened. And what followed was not clarification, but silence. No direct explanation. No timeline offered. No acknowledgement of the shift in circumstances. For observers familiar with how these cases typically unfold, the absence was striking. The speed, the quiet, and the lack of expected explanations. Not proof of wrongdoing, but enough to change how the story had to be told. Statements once made with certainty began to change over time. Details that were once public simply disappeared, rather than evolving or being clarified. Contradictions emerged first. Conflicting accounts, each supported by different sources, leave gaps the public must notice. Incompleteness follows. Entire threads of information, never addressed, remain missing. And the narrative itself shifts, subtly. What was once said or emphasized is now absent, replaced by silence. Nothing here is an accusation. These are observable gaps Gaps that form patterns. Patterns that suggest there is more beneath the surface. And it is in these patterns, contradictions, incompleteness, and vanished details, that the audience begins to connect the dots themselves without being told what to think. Because sometimes, the spaces between words are where the story truly lives. According to someone close to the case, there were details that never reached the public eye. A former associate claims that certain events, once minor or overlooked, began to take on new significance when seen alongside resurfaced material, old clips, posts, documents, and records now viewed in a different light. It's important to note the limits here. These sources are close, but not eyewitnesses to every moment. Their proximity gives insight, not proof. Still, a pattern begins to emerge. Escalation. Silence grows heavier. Content that once existed online disappears. Questions that were once asked outright are now avoided entirely. Each of these actions, the withholding, the deletion, the avoidance, creates a tension that cannot be ignored. And it is in the quiet escalation, in what is no longer said or shown, that the story deepens. The question no one wanted to ask lingered in the shadows. Why were Erika Kirk's children removed? And why are they not connected to Chalie at all? For years, asking it would have seemed cruel, taboo, unnecessary. It brushed against grief, public sympathy, and the boundaries of discretion. But now, with new information, leaked records, and insider perspectives coming to light, avoiding it is no longer possible. It is not an accusation. It is not a conclusion. It is a question, uncomfortable, unavoidable, necessary. Because sometimes, asking the right question is the first step toward understanding the truth, even if the answer remains just out of reach. Online, the story began to take on a life of its own. Comments shifted by the hour. Speculation went viral. Opinions divided. Some sympathetic, some skeptical, and many simply guessing at what was true. Amid the chaos, attempts at narrative control became visible. Carefully worded statements appeared. Public focus remained on grief, on loss, on the human story, while the specifics of the children's situation were largely avoided. But it's crucial to remember, public outrage is not evidence. Popularity does not make a claim true, and widespread belief does not equal fact. What the crowd believes, online or off, is only perception. The truth, whatever it may be, must be measured against documents, records, and verifiable information. And in this space between perception and proof, the story becomes far more complex than anyone expected. Behind the headlines and online speculation lies the legal reality. Custody implications are serious. Court involvement is not optional. It is procedural, deliberate, and governed by oversight. Officials do not act based on sympathy, emotion, or public perception. In the eyes of the law, image carries no weight. Public opinion does not influence rulings. Only documentation, filings, and verifiable evidence matter. Public records confirm the steps taken. Court filings, custody hearings, official notifications, all following established legal procedures. These procedures are guided by known legal standards, impartial and exacting. And it is here, in the structured world of law, that the stakes of Erika Kirk's situation become unmistakably clear. The consequences are real, binding, and irreversible, far beyond the perception of the public or the reach of online commentary. Stories like this remind us how easily narratives take shape. A few public statements, a handful of assumptions, and suddenly a complex reality is reduced to a simple story. But truth is rarely simple. It is difficult to confirm. Often, it hides in silence, in what is omitted rather than what is said. The cost of that silence can be profound, shaping perception, shaping belief, shaping lives. And yet, even now, the story remains unresolved. Questions linger. Gaps remain. If the most important details were never meant to be public, what else are we still not allowed to see?